Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pulp Report. This is Johnnysuds.
And I'm koramora.
And we're here to talk to you about what's going on in the world of video games this week. So, a couple different things we have going on. A lot of Nintendo stuff this week. And
yes.
Yeah. One thing is the Super NES Classic Edition, which is basically kind of like a modular version of the old Super Nintendo system. So, they have all the games loaded on there that comes with controllers. Went on pre-sale in the U.S. in some places for a very short amount of time.
Yeah, so Walmart had pre-orders up Friday night at midnight, so technically Saturday morning, and it was up for, actually it was from like 11:30 to midnight, so it was up for a good like 30 minutes, and we were lucky enough to hear about it and grab one.
Yes.
But we're finding out reports that Walmart has been canceling some of those pre-orders. We haven't received an email yet.
Mm-hmm.
So far so good, but according to, I think it was Walmart Twitter, or it was a customer service representative at Walmart, they said that it was mistakenly put out, and it shouldn't have actually been put out on the website yet. So who knows? We're going to keep an eye on our email and cross our fingers, because if it's anything like it was last year with the NES Classic, it's going to be a hard find.
Yeah, and that was crazy. We were lucky enough to get that as well, but that was much more difficult. We came and lost in a few different pre-orders, so we were happy to get this. Hopefully it sticks together, and we'll definitely, we want to get our hands on it so we can let you guys know all about it. Tons of different games on that. And also, speaking of the Super Nintendo, we saw an article that the most expensive NES game ever was just sold. Like, it was bought by a collector or something like that?
Yeah, so the seller originally tried to sell it on eBay. The buyer fell through, and then it went through a private sale, so we don't know if it's a collector or whatever, but I'm assuming it is, because they dropped almost $42,000 on this game.
Yeah, and this is a Nintendo Entertainment System game, the original Nintendo. Stadium Events is what it was called. And it was so mind-boggling. It's like, well, why is that so expensive?
It's just such a random game.
It's not like an old Mario, like, first edition crazy stuff like that. It was definitely in a sealed, like, great shape. Like, it was in the sealed plastic and all of that. But I guess it was replaced with world-class track meet after, so the game was only on the shelves for a very short amount of time, which makes it that much harder to find. So that was interesting. $42,000 on an NES game. And that one, by the way, not on the NES Classic.
Darn.
So, so keep an eye out for the Super NES. There's a couple different things you guys can check out for pre-orders. So you can go take a look at nowinstock.net if you guys want, and you can set up, you'll get notifications from different sites when they go on pre-order, or just try your luck.
Yeah, good luck.
So also this week was the release of Splatoon 2. Now, I know we mentioned Splatoon a little bit when we talked about Splatfest. Now the full game is out. We were able to get our hands on with all the different game modes, on not only like Turf Wars and ranked battles, but also Salmon Run and single player as well.
Yeah, and Salmon Run is a great addition to the Splatoon game. I just had so much fun with it. Like, it can be, it's not even frustrating, it's just really hard. But it is so fun constantly, and even if you lose, you're just like, all right, you want to play again? Yeah, okay, let's go play again. Yeah,
it's one of those ones that's addicting because you think you can always do better the next time. And luckily, unlike a lot of other ones, is that it does actually have, you have 3 waves you have to survive. It's not an infinite amount of rounds that you just have to survive. So there is actually, like, completing it, you level up, and then as you level up, it actually gets harder and harder. And we also, because Splatoon 2 was out, we also had our first interaction with the Nintendo Switch online app. So it's like an app on your phone, and they're going to be using that to really kind of use all of their different online services, from party chat to, things that you can use to interact with the game. Like, for example, in Splatoon 2, you can go on and, like, buy some clothing for your person using in-game money and have it shipped so you can pick it up that way. So it's kind of interesting how they're doing that to try and engage people with the app.
Right, and I love all the... Specifically with Splatoon 2, you can look up all of your stats and see which gun you play with the most, which map you played the most, how much ink you've covered, or how much turf you've covered with your ink. And it's pretty crazy. But the one thing I'm not too psyched about is the voice chat feature throughout it. So pretty much what it looks like is you invite your friends through your Nintendo Switch friends, and you can invite them to the room, but you can't, it doesn't seem like you can play online with other people. So if you and me are in a room together on the Nintendo Switch app, it seems like we can only play with each other, and we can't just group up with online people. So that I'm kind of not too fond of, but...
Yeah, and I think it's because it's new. It's going to get better as, they get input. Nintendo, like we talked about before, is really good about kind of taking that input and applying it, specifically with Splatoon 2. I think the reason that they went with a mobile app, or normally for other games and stuff like that, it's either built right into the game or built into the console. Like, for example, Xbox, you're just going to make an Xbox Live Party, which is right inside of the OS, and it's built in, where this is mobile, because they wanted to be able to account for people maybe being on the go and kind of give it that other... the ability to be able to not be plugged in at home and still have all of the access to everything without having to worry about, now, because think about this, if you're on the go and you're playing a game and you want to use the Nintendo Switch, you have to talk with your friends. Now the Switch would have had to have like a data plan or something like that so you could get internet. Now you at least have the chance to use your own cell phone, obviously if you have one, to be able to communicate with everybody if you're, at the park or at the beach or wherever you might be playing this thing. So I think they were trying, that's maybe why they did it, was to try and make it so they could account for the mobility of it, not limit themselves with this whole new console. Be like, yeah, you can take the console anywhere, but you can only talk to your friends at home, So I think that's maybe why they went with the mobile app.
That makes sense. But there's so many other apps that just work better for what we would use with it. But who knows? Maybe they'll, like you said, maybe they'll expand upon it and make it better, and they're hearing our feedback and they'll understand in the future what they can do better.
Yeah, and Splatoon 2 is kind of one of their only games like that for now, kind of the online shooter games where you're going to be working with a team and doing things like Salmon Run and stuff like that, where most of the other games are either going to be mostly single player or co-op or, like, even, for example, ARMS, you're only going to be playing against other people. You're not going to, be able to be in a chat with them like you would in most games. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see what they're doing with it. But yeah, we had a great experience with it so far, and I'll be playing a whole lot more Splatoon 2 as the weeks go along.
Oh, yes.
I know Koramora's been doing some live streams of it, so if you guys want to go take a look at it, you can. Just find her Twitch or her YouTube, Koramora, and you do that, once or maybe twice a week. So also, this week in gaming, they had the very first Pokemon Go Fest.
Yes.
Out in Chicago. We were not lucky enough to go, and I'm kind of happy that we weren't after hearing about everything that happened. A lot of big mishaps with the game and it not running correctly, and people were pretty upset. So I think you know a little more about this than I do.
Yeah, I think we're more lucky to not go than to actually go. So what happened was all these people bought tickets. A lot of people bought hotel rooms and plane rides, and they all converged in Chicago. And, pretty much the servers died. Yeah. And no one could play anything. And it was just an awful experience, and people were really upset because they went there and paid money to play Pokemon Go with hundreds of people in Chicago, and it just didn't work out too well.
Pokemon Go, if you guys don't know, is that game. It came out a little over a year ago that people were really, it was kind of a craze for a while. It's a mobile app, and you're able to kind of walk around your neighborhood or wherever you want, and you walk around and you'll find Pokemon to then throw Pokeballs at, and you'll go to these different gyms that are actual places within the world and battle, your Pokemon digitally on your phone, and then, have your team. There's 3 different teams within it, so have your team take it over, and then you get more points and bonuses and be able to collect all the Pokemon in this digital world. So, now what was the point of the fest? What were they all just coming together just to play, or were there some other things going on with it too?
So basically this was the release of the legendary Pokemon. So for those of you who grew up with Pokemon like we did, Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos. Those are all the legendary birds that weren't previously available on Pokemon Go, but this festival was supposed to be a way to introduce them to the game, because they completely reworked the gym system and introduced these raid battles with Pokemon that were really hard to get and really strong ones. So they added the legendary Pokemon into that, and this was a way to decide which Pokemon was going to be released to the entire world.
Gotcha. So it is a big deal. A lot of people went here to do this. They had so many problems that they actually issued a formal apology and gave some people, some rewards within the game to kind of say, sorry, it didn't work the way we thought it was going to. Here's some Pokeballs or here's some coins or something like that.
Yeah. So what happened was everyone who bought tickets got a full refund just for the ticket. So if you bought plane or hotel, you were kind of SOL for that.
But you could still explore Chicago. We've been to Chicago a couple times, and it's a fun area to explore in certain neighborhoods to really kind of see the different culture and the restaurants and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so it's I'm glad it happened because now the legendary's out, right? So you're able to go and find it and catch it, or
yeah. So it's in the raid battle. So what you need to do is find a bunch of people to come with you to try to fight this thing, because these are really strong Pokemon that you can't beat on your own. And if you're unlucky enough to live in a rural area, kind of like us, we're not in a huge city. Like, we can't just walk around and find people just randomly playing Pokemon Go anymore. It's a year old, and people kind of gave it up. People in the large cities, you can go and find these legendary birds. So the legendary Pokemon that are available right now are Articuno and Lugia.
Cool. So, yeah, if you guys are players, go out and check that out, do a couple raid battles. And I know, I'll play here and there. It's just kind of a fun thing to fill the time if you're going for a walk or a run or something like that. So, yeah.
Right, there's not too many people that play around here, so we kind of just casual. We're casual players.
Yeah, I'm a casual, I'm not sure I'll catch them all someday, but it's not, I got some other stuff going on. Another thing that was announced this week, we don't know a whole lot about it, but we did want to let you guys know, a new Atari console called the Atari Box was announced. We have literally almost no information on it. We just know that it exists. I think they're trying to get people a little hyped up, and kind of like they did for the Nintendo Switch and the new Xbox One and stuff like that. Just, hey, here's a little bit of it, and then we'll tell you more as time goes along.
Right, so we were able to see the design, the name, called the Atari Box, and pretty much the only thing they told us was that it will play some classic games, but then there also might be some new games coming to it. So I think it's kind of Atari's second answer to the NES Classic craze, because they did have their throwback Atari console that didn't sell too well until the NES Classic came out, and then all of a sudden this old throwback console was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is something that it's good for them to be taking advantage of this. They're like, oh, people love nostalgia. How can we, take a hold of that and make a product so people will like it and maybe remember why they started playing games in the first place, which Atari was, one of the originals. So.
Right, and it should be interesting to see what new games come out on this.
Yeah.
Because it is a tiny console. It's minus the Nintendo Switch. It's probably the smallest console based on the pictures anyway. That could change because we don't even know when this is going to be released or anything. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so just to give you guys a heads up, also this past week we had San Diego Comic-Con, another event that this one I would have liked to have gone to, more than the Pokemon Go Fest, but we weren't able to make it out to the West Coast to do that. But it's always fun to go to those Comic-Cons. They have some announcements. Not a whole lot to do with gaming as far as the announcements, though. A lot of them are more, TV show or movie based. But I think it was still worth mentioning, there were some things that they talked about, but a lot of them were already covered at E3. But some of the shows and stuff that they were showing the new trailers for example, Stranger Things 2 got an announcement for a new season on Netflix, as well as Westworld and Walking Dead. I know The Walking Dead already has a few different games around it. And then, we talked about last week things like Spider-Man, as well as the new Marvel VR game. It'll be interesting to see if we have, for example, a Justice League game to come out in the future. So I'm excited to see what sort of things can branch from the expansion of these existing series and these new ones as well. Not the only thing you usually see at a Comic-Con. Honestly, some of my favorites is when people dress up, a lot of people wearing cosplays and stuff like that, dressed up as their favorite characters or parodies of them. So if you guys were lucky enough to go to the Comic-Con, send us a message or shoot us a comment. Let us know how it was, how you liked it.
Show us a picture of your craziest cosplayer meetup that you ran into at Comic-Con. We love to see those.
Yeah, those are always fun. Also, this week, the 27th, July 27th, the new Overwatch character is going to be out and ready to play. So right now, first off, the character's name is Doomfist. It's one that's been really highly anticipated by a lot of Overwatch characters. And Overwatch, if you don't know, is the team-based first-person shooter by Blizzard, the same company that brought you games like World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, stuff like that. So this is their newest character. They kind of add one character every few months to kind of, change the elements of the game, make it so that these new, team combinations are going to be different and ever-changing, and people are always kind of making those tweaks. So Doomfist is a offensive character. He is mostly melee-based. He has a lot of different abilities. He's basically got a big fist in one hand that he can kind of uppercut people into the air. He's got another ability where he can slam down to the ground. He's able to kind of get in and out of combat very quickly, and he's going to be a good counter to a lot of characters that are, those fast-moving types, things like Tracer or a Genji or something like that. So if you guys want, if you are Overwatch players, you can go onto the public test realm, which you can download for free right through the Blizzard app, and you can play him a little bit before he comes out. Just on the test servers, I did that a little bit, and because Doomfist is the new character, it's just teams of Doomfists on either side, so it's 6 versus 6. It gets crazy. You can't really get a good gauge for, I wonder how these abilities are going to do, because I'm only fighting myself. So, according to Blizzard, this is like a 3-star difficulty character as far as playing them effectively, so it should be interesting to see how he affects these new metas and comps, both on the very high competitive level, but also just, in quick play or the ranked matches that we'll be playing. So, overall list of abilities: hand cannon. He fires a short-range burst from his knuckles on his fist. So that's his small fist. So it's kind of like his little finish-up long-range ability. Seismic slam. Doomfist leaps towards and smashes the ground, knocking nearby enemies towards him. So they actually come towards him, so he's better to melee them. Rising uppercut. Doomfist uppercuts enemies in front of him into the air. Rocket punch. After charging up, Doomfist lunges forward and knocks an enemy back, dealing additional damage if they impact a wall. Then he has a defensive passive, which is he generates temporary shields when he deals ability damage, and his ultimate ability is what's called Meteor Strike. And this thing looks crazy. It basically makes a gigantic area on the ground. You're able to move it around. You shoot up into the air, and you just come straight down and do a bunch of area of effect damage. And if you actually hit someone directly, it's going to be pretty significant. So I'm excited to see him in action. A lot of times when they do this with the new characters, they're not going to put him right into the ranked play right away. Like with Orisa, the most recent one, which was a tank character, they added him into quick play initially so that people could get a feel for it. And then, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, they allowed people to start to play it in the ranked play. So I know there's still a little bit of time left on this current season of Overwatch, so we'll see exactly how that plays out, but I'm excited to play him on the 27th.
So when they add new characters, are they free DLCs that these are adding, or do you have to pay?
They're not even DLC, so they'll do updates, and then you'll just log in, and they'll be right on your screen. So no paid DLCs so far for Overwatch, and I'm hoping they continue to do it that way. The only in-game purchases you have are for the loot boxes, and those don't provide you any sort of advantage in the game. They're more for cosmetics, things like your sprays in the game, your character skins, things like that. That they're not going to make you better, but they'll make you look cooler. So maybe if you feel cooler because you look cooler, you'll play better. So
not always how that works, but if it makes you feel good, I guess that's all that matters.
That psychological boost. So it's been really funny that I've seen, since this character was announced a couple weeks back, there's been a lot of online parodies because they say this character looks a lot like Terry Crews. Because if Terry Crews, if you don't remember, he's the guy that did all the Old Spice commercials. He's in that show Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Just a massive guy, so they keep putting his face over the origin story and just making him punch through the air. It's hilarious. You guys should check that out. Also, the information fully on the character can be found at playoverwatch.com. And then you can go through the heroes and you'll see Doomfist there. You can watch the origin story. He's got a big long story about him, and you can get an idea of exactly who he's playing, where he's aligned with, and then hopefully we'll see out on the battlefield in the next week or so.
So the next topic, Destiny 2 beta has been extended.
Yes, so that was supposed to conclude on Sunday, but now they're giving it through the evening of July 25th, and this is for everybody except for PC, because PC doesn't have the beta just yet. They won't have it until mid-August. So if you're a PS4 or an Xbox One player, you're going to be able to play the Destiny 2 beta all the way through July 25th at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and 2 a.m. BST for additional service testing. So they probably have some things they want to tweak, make sure it's all ready for day one.
All right, and a couple big game releases coming to you this week. Hey Pikmin releases on Friday, July 28th for the 3DS family of consoles.
Yeah, the only other one I saw that was coming out this week that kind of stuck out to me was a game called Pyre. It's kind of like a strategy combat-based game. It's really interesting. So it's releasing on both the PS4 and the PC. And essentially, it's kind of like a party-based RPG. You're going to lead your band of people, I believe it's 3 people, through this purgatory, and your job is to keep your pyre lit in order to stay alive while making sure the enemies don't snuff it out, and then eventually, hopefully, escaping the purgatory that you're in. So it looked really interesting, looked really unique kind of gameplay, so you guys can check out the trailer on that. So guys, make sure you check those games out, both Hey Pikmin and Pyre. If we missed any, let us know. Send us a message, leave us a comment. Let us know if there's a game that you're looking forward to that you want us to talk about. And speaking of games, because that's what we speak about, We found out the free games with Xbox Live Gold for the month of August. Those were announced this just a couple days ago. So basically, if you don't know, if you are an Xbox Live Gold member, you get a couple of free games that you can download onto your Xbox each month. For example, back in July, we had Grow Up and Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. Usually it's from the 1st until the 15th, and then it'll switch over to the new game. So Xbox One, you can expect Slime Rancher August 1st, and Trials of Fusion August 16th through September 15th. So it looks like they're doing it a little bit differently now. Xbox 360, Bayonetta, and Red Faction Armageddon. And another quick note on Xbox is there was like a leak, but then it was confirmed that The Sims 4, which is traditionally a PC game, will be coming to Xbox One this fall. The announced date is going to be November 17th for the EA release of The Sims 4 on Xbox One, which is very exciting. So check those out. And if you guys have any questions or anything else you want to talk about, reach out to us.
Make sure you subscribe to Pulp Report. Find us on Twitter. Get our YouTube channels.
Yeah. Koramora, and I'm Johnnysuds. Thank you guys so much for listening to Pulp Report, and we will see you again real soon.
Bye.